We already went over communication in general. I wanted to do that with you just because kind of a preparation to what we're doing in our promotion P. So chapter 12 also is an overview of what we do with promotion, but it's more of a very specific to marketing, and it goes into much more of the new ways to communicate with consumers. Then we'll get into our specific parts of our promotion P. Okay, the objectives of chapter 12. So understand that communication process and that traditional promotional mix. Now we've talked about that a little bit, but this goes into more depth. Understands how marketers communicate, and this is an updated model of communication which looks at all the new social media and the so-called buzz marketing. This is really the consumer-to-consumer marketing as opposed to the corporation-to-consumer sorts of marketing. And then we'll look a little bit at the traditional planning. Okay, the traditional communication model is the corporation communicating to all the potential consumers. Promotion is a coordination of marketing communication efforts to influence attitudes or behavior. And what are we trying to do in marketing communication? Well, we want to inform, remind, persuade, or build relationships. We also want to make them aware. So that's our purpose of communicating. Integrated marketing communication, and this is our traditional promotion P. This is our advertising, sales promotion, and so on, which we'll go into. But this is the kind of new age promotion. Okay, process that marketers use to plan, develop, execute, and evaluate, coordinate, measurable, persuasive brand communication programs over time to targeted audiences. This is some of the communication models. Now, some of you may have taken communication classes, you may be communication majors or minors, but this is now, as we look strictly within marketing, the one-to-many model, that's our advertising, our sales promotion, our public relations. Our one-to-one, which goes back to our customer relationship management and so on, is database marketing, that direct marketing, and personal selling. So it's the corporation targeting you as an individual. And then the third model, that's the many-to-many. That's the consumer-to-consumer model with the buzz marketing and social media. The question typically comes up, which of these is correct? And all three certainly are useful and functional and can be used by corporations. I'm sure that many corporations are using all three. Here's a communication model regardless of the venue you're using. There's the source, which encodes the message. There you have the message, the medium, whatever it goes through. It gets to the consumer who has to decode it somehow. And these pieces down here, the noise, that's really problematic, certainly for marketing. All the things that can intercept or miscommunicate the information to the receiver. The feedback is something else that we always need to look at. But noise is something that we really have to understand and try to control for. Okay, this is the updated model, the many-to-many, or the consumer-to-consumer. Groundswell is what has happened. This is a social trend in which people use technology to get things they need from each other, rather than from traditional institutions. And in this case, it's getting information. And look at the information that comes out over Facebook and Twitter and all the other places where you can gather information. The problem becomes, though, make sure that the information you're using is correct. Buzz marketing. Now, we have always used buzz marketing, and that's the best way to communicate to consumers, no question about that. Word-of-mouth communication that consumers view as authentic. Word-of-mouth is absolutely positively the most effective way to communicate. There are a lot of names for this. The difference today is that technology has changed how we do buzz marketing. It has certainly increased the amount and the impact of buzz marketing. Many, 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 many ethical problems here. There are certainly ways that people or other companies can attempt to deceive consumers, put out bad information. They can target children, teens, the segment that is susceptible to being deceived, whichever ones those might be. Buzz marketing that damages, and that can be illegal. And then you have what some people call stealth marketing. And that's where information is put out there to deliberately deceive other consumers. And I assume that you can suppose that competitors do this, or it could be a customer who was upset with the company. It could be all sorts of individuals doing this. Viral marketing, marketing activities that aim to increase brand awareness or sales by consumers passing a message along to other consumers. Also buzz marketing. Viral, of course, is through some sort of technology. Brand ambassadors and evangelists. This is a very interesting concept, fairly new. Loyal customers of a brand recruited to communicate and be salespeople with other consumers for a brand they care a great deal about. We actually had one of our marketing students a couple years ago who was the evangelist for Wright State, and she would get on the Wright State homepage and put out information, and very correct, not to misinform at all, to try to encourage students to come to Wright State and so on. So a lot of companies do this. New social media, actually, you guys probably don't think it's new. To you, it's not. It's something that you are so used to and accustomed to. Why would we call it new? Social media, internet-based platforms that allow users to create their own content and share it with others who access these sites. This is a big part of that third communication model that we reviewed. Social networking sites connect people with similar people based on profiles. And how many people are on Facebook, how many are on Twitter? Many, many, many. The problem becomes, what's the next new site? MySpace was the place to be a few years ago. Now I don't know anybody who's on MySpace at this point in time. Now, the other thing that I want you guys to do, as people are going to graduate, about to graduate, looking for careers, you need to get on LinkedIn. That's a professional social media, LINKED, capital IN. And connect to me. Make sure you tell me who you are, that you're in this class, so I'll know who you are. And I will put you into the LinkedIn network. This is the primary source companies are using to recruit today. Absolutely critical that you be on there. Also, absolutely positively critical that you have professional information, that the page is very professionally written, appropriate photos, and so on. So be very, very careful with what you put on LinkedIn, but you must be on there. Steps to developing your promotional plan. Identify the target markets. Now this very much like segmentation. Here we go. Make sure you know what your communication objectives are. Actually, I would put step 2 ahead of step 1. You should know your objectives before you decide who your target audiences are, in my opinion. Okay, then you're going to look at the promotion budget, the marketing communication budget. How much are we going to give marketing to spend on their communication? Look at that promotional budget, use a push or pull or push-pull strategy, and that is where and if you just envision a channel of distribution, a push is where the company pushes information through that channel, typically with your sales force. A pull strategy is where the consumer looks at advertising, gets information somehow, and attempts to pull the information through the channel. An example are the pharmaceutical companies who for years and years and years use personal selling as their vehicle for communicating to healthcare workers. Last few years they're putting advertising on TV and so on and so forth, so they're doing mass advertising to convey information to the consumer. That's the pull strategy. So the push are the salespeople promoting the pharmaceuticals to the healthcare workers. The pull strategy is the other end of that channel where the consumer now is pulling that information out of the company. Okay, so then you design a promotion mix, and that varies as to what you do. Of course, it goes back to your objective, and always, always, always evaluate your communication program. Hierarchy of effects. This is where you look at what your objectives are, what you're trying to accomplish. Hierarchy of effects is something that comes out of consumer behavior. This is where we look at, is our objective, are we trying to create awareness, knowledge, want for the product, purchasing the product, or to increase brand loyalty? And the other side of that line shows you the kind of things you might use to increase that particular type of objective. And this is what's called the hierarchy of effects. So you create awareness, go up through, as the arrow goes, ultimately to having brand loyalty. Depending upon what your objectives are, really dictates the kind of information, the kind of communication you use. The ad at left seeks to create awareness, while the ad at right attempts to build the brand loyalty. And you can see how different those two are. Multi-channel promotional strategies, and many companies use this, combine traditional mass media such as your advertising, your sales promotion, with that buzz marketing. Almost all companies do that today. Benefits of this: certainly it boosts the effectiveness of one over the other, and it does increase brand awareness. That's it for Promotion P, and we will continue with some more of that. That was just kind of an introduction to it. I shouldn't say all of it. That's more of an introduction to that. Now we're going to take that Promotion P and break it out into its components and talk about those. Okay? I'll be with you. Remember, if you need me, call, chat, or email. And I certainly hope all this keeps working. If it doesn't, you contact the Pearson Technical Support. You've been given that number, or our technical folks at Wright State. Okay? Talk to you later. Bye.